Hey guys, so I get a good amount of people from time to time asking me which airsoft gun they should buy as their first. And I got to admit, I've been putting this video off for quite a while because that's really a hard question to answer. It's pretty difficult to give a singular, foolproof guide on selecting your first airsoft gun since everyone has different tastes or preferences on what gun design they'd prefer spending hundreds of dollars on in order to shoot a bunch of silly BBs across a field. Now, I'm not going to tell you which gun exactly you should be buying, especially since I admittedly don't own those exact airsoft guns myself, and it just wouldn't feel right acting like you should listen to what I have to say if I came from that kind of angle doing this video. So instead, let's talk about the proper steps you should take selecting your first airsoft gun, or potentially future airsoft guns as well down the road. Number one thing you gotta consider is your price. First, trust me when I say this, just because one airsoft gun is $700 and another is $300 doesn't mean the $700 airsoft gun is better. Do your research. Sometimes it's just the brand or gimmicky, non-important details or attachments that drive up the price of an airsoft gun, especially in the M4 department. So instead, pick a budget you're comfortable with. If you're willing to spend $500 on an airsoft gun, max, cool. What I will say is anything starting at $250 to $300 can really surprise you in terms of capabilities. Guns at that price really can come with everything you need to compete out of the box, as well as be quite future-proof if you're planning on doing some upgrades, especially if it's a standard V2 or V3 gearbox. At that point, you're just paying for the shell of an airsoft gun. If you want to be Gucci, then be Gucci. It's all about your budget. Just know that even with something like HPA down the road, I could turn a $100 airsoft gun into something that performs like a $700 airsoft gun. Now, let's move on from cost. Let's talk about probably the most important key point when selecting which airsoft gun to buy.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
No, different subject, Arnold. Where's the hop-up, and how do I get to it? If this is truly your first time buying an airsoft gun and you don't know much about the tech stuff just yet, please allow me to explain what the hop-up is really quick, just so you can understand how important it really is, and how important accessing it easily should be. The hop-up chamber is what puts backspin on your BB, giving it accuracy and, more importantly, flight distance. I won't try to overwhelm you with the details, but the hop-up chamber holds onto your barrel and houses a bucking and a little nub that act together with an adjustable amount of downward pressure. This gives you the ability to adjust the range of your BBs accordingly with your BB weight, as well as with any optic you might be using with your airsoft gun. So, believe me when I say this, not all airsoft guns are designed with easy access to a hop-up in mind. Most are, but also many aren't. I swear, some guns are just designed with looks in mind, without any ease of access or functionality in mind. Some airsoft guns can have their hop-up chambers accessed with just the pull of a charging handle, like every other M4, while others need to have the magazine taken out and have the gun flipped upside down, and maybe you got to get a little tool in there, otherwise you can't really reach it with your fingers. I mean, I've used this example before, but I'm looking at you, Keltec RDB. I'm not just talking about adjusting the hop-up on the fly either. You also need to consider how the gun itself comes apart so you can completely access the hop-up chamber in its entirety, as in how easily is it to actually just remove the hop-up in the event of jams, cleaning, or upgrades. If you have a favorite airsoft gun in mind, as in you like the way it looks, do yourself a favor and check out a gun review or gun breakdown video of it here on YouTube. Watch how the gun itself is taken apart or how its hop-up is accessed, which will probably come along with how it's taken apart. If it looks complicated and has many steps, it's probably due to less than ideal gun design. Let me give you an example. Currently, I'm working on making an LCT VSS shoot properly. Yes, it is a very sexy gun. This is entirely a hop-up issue. In order to get to the hop-up of an LCT VSS, you twist off the outer barrel shroud, twist and push the handguard off very carefully, undo 4 set screws, then undo 2 more set screws, slide out the barrel and hop-up chamber stabilizer, and... oh, wait. No, yeah, it looks like I also need to wiggle the gearbox out and then slide the chamber out towards the back of the gun because there's unremovable metal parts on the front side of the gun. Terrible design. Honestly, terrible. My workaround here with the VSS is just to skip the gearbox step, leave it in place, and disassemble the hop-up chamber while it's still kinda stuck inside the body of the VSS itself. Yep, that's right. I've got the patience for that, but you might not. And no, I'm not going to show B-roll footage of all that while I'm talking about it because just thinking about it stresses me out. Now, let's compare that to an M4 body design. Push 2 push pins out, slide upper receiver forward, and off. Hop-up chamber. I just wrote 2 paragraphs on how to access the hop-up chamber of a VSS, the short way. So please put accessing the hop-up for both on-the-fly adjustment and disassembly on the top of your list for gun selection priorities. Trust me, you don't want to be scared to take your gun apart. You should embrace that and get familiar with your platform. Just don't make it hell for yourself or you'll never want to try. Let's move on. Another thing you should consider with your airsoft gun purchase is how proprietary are the parts? As in, if something breaks, how f***ed are you? Or does the gun use its own expensive or always out of stock everywhere you look magazines? That's a big red flag. Trust me. I made that mistake with my first ever airsoft gun purchase many years ago. It had its own mags and nothing else was compatible. And yeah, they weren't cheap either. If there was a risk the gun would be discontinued down the road, I'd also be pretty screwed. If the gun you're interested in uses standard M4 mags, that's great. That's honestly the best spot you could ask to be in. And for the most part, most airsoft guns nowadays are designed that way, sort of like the standard NATO mag style. It's great and a perfect place to hold a standard if you're on the hunt for your first gun. The last thing you might want to consider is rail space. Does the gun you like have a top rail for a scope or sight? Because trust me, after a short while, iron sights really just kind of suck. Maybe you can shoot far with irons, but believe me, you'll want the ability to see your target get shot by the BB. It just helps confirming your shots or adjusting for follow-up shots if your BBs aren't hitting the target. So now that I've hopefully helped you adjust your priorities, now let's just talk about specific airsoft guns, which I said at the beginning of this video would be very, very difficult to do, and probably be impossible to avoid pissing somebody off as well. So please, go easy on me here. I'm literally the guy who turned an EMG F1 M4 into, well, a bullpup. So yeah, let's start with bullpups. If it takes standard M4 mags, you're in a good spot. I'm not going to pretend like I know how the internals of a TAR-21 or L86 are, but I can guarantee you they aren't as simple as your standard M4. Remember, I bullpupped my M4 for a reason. Please watch breakdown videos of the bullpup you're interested in. If it ain't too intimidating and getting to the hop-up doesn't suck ass, okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a bullpup as your first gun if that's your flavor. And if you don't know where to start, check an airsoft store's online catalog, pick within your budget, and just start writing down names of guns you like the look of. Then proceed to YouTube and watch some review videos. But maybe you prefer an AK. Okay, comrade, I hear you. Wood, metal, and limited to 0 rail space if you go with the classic style at least. Cool, bro. Same rules apply. Go watch a video on the gun you're interested in from this communist category. On the plus side, you'll have more hop-up support and aftermarket parts here compared to the bullpups, but you won't get the same head nod from me. I am a softie for the bullpup guys out on the field. And of course, I have to mention before someone screams at me, M4s. By far, the easiest platform to take apart, and by far, the platform with the most aftermarket parts and compatibilities. Check an Airsoft store online, pick within your budget, watch a video about it, and understand this: you can swap out almost everything on the M4. How it looks on the outside or on a shelf inside of a store is 95% not a permanent design if you have other plans down the road. Take the G&G Raider or Raider 2.0, probably the most vanilla but still modern M4 AEG. Perfect to just slap into the hands of a newbie while also giving them all the bells and whistles they should need. It might not look amazing like some other gun you see on the shelf, but it can be made to look awesome later. I like G&G M4s in general, and I've also used the Crytek CRB, which I believe has been updated recently and is another pretty great middle-of-the-pack M4 with great build quality and internals. The price certainly does go up though the more you keep looking, and there are honestly too many M4s. I'm just gonna say that right now. And I couldn't give you a name beyond the two I mentioned because those are the only two I can willingly vouch for, as well as the G&G ARP 556, I guess, which I also own, which definitely does not look like an ARP 556 anymore. Just to kind of give you the best example I can think of how modular the M4 can be. So yes, I'm a little biased. My best advice for the 90% of you I know who are gonna buy an M4 platform design as your first airsoft gun is to go into an airsoft shop, walk up to the counter and say, hey, I want an M4 platform gun. I'm new to airsoft. This is my budget. Can you help me figure out the differences? A lot of these M4s nowadays have very similar internals and are all LiPo battery ready with a MOF set. It might honestly just come down to how it looks. I like the G&G brand. I like the Crytek brand. But that might just be a place you can start. And of course, moving on from M4s, there's every other platform in between. For example, the SCAR or G36 platform, all worth the same level of research. In fact, the G36C was almost my first platform, and I almost kind of wish I had bought one instead of an ACR, which had proprietary AK designed mags. Kind of weird and my bad. So let's wrap things up here. The truth is, I cannot give you an answer on which specific brand or gun or platform is for you. And any airsoft video here on YouTube that claims to be your ultimate guide or single stop for the answer you seek is bullshit. You need to have a budget. Please consider hop-up placement and accessibility, please, and also consider if there's an issue with proprietary parts, like the magazines. And most importantly, which platform most speaks to you? What do you think actually looks cool? Which airsoft gun got you interested in airsoft in the first place? That's where you need to start looking first. Don't overwhelm yourself. Look at what looks cool first, then do some research following the guidelines I spoke about in this video. You can do this, and trust me, you'll know when you find the right airsoft gun. You'll get that warm feeling of excitement deep inside you, and you'll just feel ready to say, yes, that's the one. That's the $369 Matrix Limited Edition Custom Alien Pulse Rifle Airsoft AEG. I'm gonna buy that. Good job. Now, get out there and slay.